Let's dive right into this explainer and uncover this silent threat of prediabetes. Catching this early, it is literally the ultimate game changer for your health. Chronic conditions almost never happen overnight. They leave these little breadcrumbs, tiny warning signs our bodies project to tell us something is a bit off under the hood. So today we're taking a highly structured look at the 10 early signs of diabetes that most people just completely miss. Spotting these early is what's going to keep you in the driver's seat of your own health.
Think about your car for a second. When that little check engine light flickers on, you might ignore it for a day or two, right? But eventually you know you've got to take it into the shop. Well, our bodies have a check engine light too. But honestly, we're incredibly good at brushing off these seemingly minor, unrelated health anomalies. We usually blame them on just getting older, maybe a super stressful week at work, or just a rough night's sleep. But what if those random quirks are actually your body sounding the alarm?
Before we get into the exact signs, we really need to understand what we're looking for. Prediabetes is exactly what it sounds like. It's this critical window right before full-blown diabetes develops. Your blood sugar levels are definitely higher than normal, but just not quite high enough yet to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. Catching these early warning signs during this specific window is absolutely crucial. Why? Because this is the exact stage where you can actually change your health trajectory. It's highly reversible if you catch it now before it's too late.
All right, let's jump into section 1, skin in extremity signs.
So we usually associate blood sugar with what we eat, right? Not really what we see in the mirror. But our very first sign comes with some pretty intimidating medical jargon: acanthosis nigricans. Let's break that down. This actually refers to dark, velvety patches of skin that typically start showing up on the back of the neck, in the armpits, or around the groin. Here's the deal. When your body becomes resistant to insulin, it pumps out more and more of it to try and force your cells to absorb glucose. And all that excess insulin in your bloodstream actually causes your skin cells to reproduce incredibly rapidly. For a lot of people, these dark patches are one of the very first visible clues right on the surface that something metabolic is shifting inside.
Moving to our second sign, we've got acrocordons, which most of us just know as skin tags. Fun fact for you, nearly half of all adults have at least one skin tag. A few here or there, perfectly normal. But a sudden, rapid increase in these small, fleshy tags is actually a strong marker for insulin resistance. It's driven by that exact same hyperactive cellular growth caused by way too much insulin. It's pretty amazing how something as incredibly common as a sudden outbreak of skin tags is actually a major internal red flag that absolutely warrants a closer look.
Now, moving down to your extremities, we've got two more major red flags. The first is that classic pins and needles feeling, that tingling or numbness in your hands and feet. The second is slow healing cuts or getting frequent infections. So why does this happen? The logic here is that chronically high blood sugar acts almost like a toxic sludge in your bloodstream over time. It literally damages the tiny, delicate nerve endings in your fingers and toes, which causes that numbness. And simultaneously, all that excess sugar physically impairs your white blood cells. It basically crushes your immunity, making it incredibly hard for your body to heal even a minor paper cut.
Okay, moving right along to section 2, thirst and bathroom signs. When your body is desperately trying to flush out excess sugar, your daily habits can feel totally disrupted. If your bloodstream is completely saturated with extra glucose, your kidneys have to work in overdrive just to filter it all out. To pull that off, they draw moisture right from your tissues, which leaves you severely dehydrated. And that leads to our next clues: extreme thirst and a really dry mouth. Now, we're not just talking about being thirsty after a good workout. Feeling completely parched, even right after downing a massive glass of water, is a classic warning sign. Your body is basically begging for more fluids to help dilute and flush out that sugar, and that's a signal you definitely shouldn't ignore. And hey, all that extra water you're drinking has to go somewhere, right? Which brings us to nocturia. This is just the medical term for frequent urination at night. Now, getting up once in the middle of the night to use the bathroom is fairly normal for a lot of folks, but specifically waking up 2 or more times every single night, that's different. This excessive frequency happens because your kidneys are basically working the night shift, furiously trying to dump all that excess glucose into your urine while you sleep. And they do it with absolutely no respect for your REM cycle.
Next up, section 3, energy and appetite signs.
Let's add another piece of medical jargon to our list: polyphagia. This basically translates to being constantly, ravenously hungry. Picture this. You just sat down, ate a massive, totally satisfying meal, and within an hour, your stomach is growling like you haven't eaten all day. It's a really baffling feeling to be starving on a full stomach. But mechanically, here's what's happening. Because your body is resistant to insulin, the food you're eating isn't actually making its way into your cells to be used for energy. So your cells literally think they are starving, and they start sending these emergency hunger signals straight to your brain, making you want to eat even more. And that leads to a pretty scary paradox. You see, normal weight loss happens when you intentionally change your diet and exercise, right? But with prediabetes or early diabetes, you might experience the totally unexplained reality of eating more than ever, thanks to that polyphagia we just talked about, but actively losing weight. Specifically, you're losing muscle mass. Because your body just can't use the sugar in your blood for energy, it panics. It starts frantically burning through your fat stores and literally breaking down your muscle tissue just to keep you going.
Now, there is a huge, profound difference between normal everyday fatigue and a genuine blood sugar crash. Look, we all get tired, but an early sign of diabetes is that severe, heavy 2 p.m. crash that completely defies caffeine. I mean, you can drink 3 cups of coffee, and you still feel like you need to just put your head on your desk and sleep. This happens because your energy isn't stable anymore. Your blood sugar is spiking wildly after a meal and then crashing dramatically, which leaves you completely depleted, right at the cellular level.
Rounding out our 10 signs is one of the most fascinating and honestly unexpected physiological shifts, blurry vision that comes and goes. And no, this isn't just your eyes naturally aging or you needing a new glasses prescription. When your blood sugar fluctuates wildly, it actually causes the lens inside your eye to swell up and shrink down with the fluid shifts. It physically changes the shape of your eye's lens, and that results in this intermittent blurriness that is directly tied to those blood sugar spikes. Absolutely wild, right?
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 4, taking action. Look, it's super easy to feel a bit agitated if you recognize some of these symptoms, but let's pivot to the solution. The absolutely crucial point here is this threshold, the number 2. If you recognize 2 or more of the signs we just went over, say maybe you've noticed a new crop of skin tags and you're waking up 3 times a night, or maybe you have that unquenchable thirst paired with a massive 2 p.m. crash, well, it's time to take immediate action. One sign could just be a random anomaly, but 2 or more, that is a distinct pattern. Your check engine light is actively flashing.
Let's empower you with a really clear, structured path forward. First, honestly identify if you have 2 or more of these signs. Second, schedule an appointment to see a doctor immediately. Really, don't just wait for your annual physical if it's still 6 months away. And third, when you do get there, specifically ask for a blood glucose test, like an A1C test. This is going to give you the exact hard data you need to know exactly where your blood sugar stands. Taking these steps lets you catch the issue in that critical prediabetes window way before the condition progresses into something permanent.
So I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to think about. Which of these silent signs have you been brushing off as just getting older? We've really seen today that our bodies are constantly communicating with us. It's time we actually start listening. If you hit that critical threshold of 2 or more symptoms, please use that motivation and seek medical advice. Catching this early is literally the single most powerful thing you can do for your metabolic health. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. And remember, keep paying attention to what your body is trying to tell you.